Peace everybody, ICC here. As you can see, DuckTales Remastered, PlayStation 3. This is just going to be a small review, but you know what I think about the game, my likes and dislikes. So yeah, let's just jump right in. First, a little background info on DuckTales. DuckTales was an animated show by Disney that aired from late 1987 to late 1990. Its success spawned multiple video games, the most popular one being DuckTales on the NES and Game Boy. The game came out in 1989 and was produced by Capcom. That's how the game remained until 2013, when in August, DuckTales Remastered, an HD remake of Capcom's original game, was released. And that leads us to this review. Alright, we're going to talk about some of the graphics first. As you can see here on the menu, that's pretty good. But one of the things I want to show you first, before we get real in-depth, before we go too much further, in the gallery, if you look at the characters, it actually shows you the 8-bit rendition and the new rendition. So you see the mummy on the top left, and then you see the new mummy down here. Well, the new mummy just looks hand-drawn like he was just straight from the cartoon. The 8-bit version, actually, they did a pretty good job back in the day, considering, you know, all they had to work with. But I like how it shows the different characters and how they used to look. So the galleries, once you go through there and, you know, buy it and open it up, you get to see some of these. I think it's kind of cool looking at the Beagle Boys, for example. I don't know why in the 8-bit they had a white shirt, but maybe they just couldn't fit that extra blue color on the screen. I don't know. But it is pretty cool. The concept art, you know, for some of the levels, like the moon. That's cool. The moon was one of my favorite levels on the 8-bit one, so I definitely wanted to see that. You know, I was definitely looking forward to see how that was on this new one. I haven't opened up everything, so when the time comes, I'll get to it. Here I wanted to show a little split screen. It's really no comparison, but it's kind of cool to see a direct and an exact comparison. Again, with the red, here Scrooge has a red coat on the Nintendo. You see on the bottom right, red coat. And then you can see on the top left, blue coat. He should have a blue coat. I don't know if there was, you know, an overload on colors. They just couldn't squeeze in the blue along with it, but there it is. That's one difference. A little bit more on the graphics. I would have to say I like the fact that, you know, all the characters and all the enemies are hand-drawn. I wish there was a little bit more hand-drawn stuff in the game. I would have liked to see the cutscenes, like right here. I would have liked to see this actually cut to the cartoon, and they could have, you know, animated a whole maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Doesn't have to be a ton. I would have gladly paid a little bit more, even though I did get this game for free just being on the PlayStation Plus. I would have paid extra, and I would have bought it gladly had it had full animation cutscenes. I would have liked that. That also brings me to my next point. If you take a look right here, during this cutscene, not only did it not cut to a cartoon like I would have liked, but if you look closely, their lips don't even move. Let me zoom in real quick and show you. Just take a look.
Why, that's Oxy Chew, Mr. McDuck. It's my latest invention, oxygen-flavored taffy.
So there you go. The mouth's not moving. I would have liked to see the mouths move. And on top of that, there is times where the animation does not match the voice expression. What I mean by that is, you know, maybe the animation on screen is angry looking and the voices and the conversation is not necessarily an angry voice or an angry conversation. So that is kind of odd sometimes. As far as the graphics, if the mouths moved with the words and if the animations matched the expressions, I would have probably given it a B-. If there was full animation cutscenes by Disney, which I'm sure they have artists. It is Disney. They have done many animation films, animation TV shows. So So I'm pretty sure they do have a couple artists around their studio that they could have spared and put on this project. If they would have done that, I would have definitely given it at least an A. But for now, I give it a C. When it comes to audio, I would definitely say there's an improvement over the 8-bit, obviously. It's only 8-bit, it's not very hard to have an improvement on that, but they did a really good job, I think. I give the audio an A+. Alright, now on to the most important part of any game, the gameplay. How does it handle? How is it? In the original 8-bit game, it was some of the best controls on the 8-bit console, period. DuckTales on the Nintendo was almost flawless. So knowing that and keeping that in mind, this one is just as good. There's nothing wrong with the controls on this. It's pretty much exactly the same. I haven't really noticed any problems. I've noticed a lot of things are very similar, if not the exact same. So I think the controls on this game are very good. I like the controls on this game. They even gave an option. I'll show it right here. You can see it's the pogo. You can have hard pogo on or hard pogo off. The difference being, with it on, it is the old school classic style controls. With it off, all you have to do is hit the button to do the pogo. The old school style controls, you have to hit down while holding the button to do the pogo. So that one little thing makes it a little bit easier if you turn it off. But besides that, the controls are all pretty much the exact same. One other thing that it was brought to my attention, the new one does not have a timer. If it has a timer, it's not on the screen. The old one had a timer and you had to beat the level in a certain amount of time or you would lose a life and have to try it again. So again, that makes this game a little bit easier, but this game, when you turn the difficulty up, it can get kind of difficult. It's hard to say if this one is more difficult than the old one. I would say they're pretty close in that aspect. I would say that's actually a draw. The end bosses on each level have been upgraded. They take more hits to kill. They have a few more different moves. So all around, they are more difficult. The end bosses on the older game were pretty easy. It was just getting to them that was a little bit difficult. But yeah, in this game, the end bosses are more difficult. So as far as mechanics and gameplay is concerned, I give it an A. So my final thoughts on this game, I like the game. It's a good game. It's a little bit difficult in parts. That's not a bad thing. The controls are good. The layouts of the levels are good. The changes that they made are good. The only thing I really don't like is the fact that there is no moving beaks, and there is no cutaways, and there is no cartoon clips. So overall, I give the game about a B+. The game could have been an A. It could have been an A+ if they would have just added those few little things. Even if they didn't want to throw in a couple seconds of animation, if they didn't want to hire a few animators, then fine, make the beaks move. That's all. The game has a Capcom feel to it, so that's a good thing. It kind of reminds me of Bionic Commando Rearmed. It also reminds me of Strider. None of these are a bad thing, you know, reminding me of Bionic Commando or Strider. Those both were decent games. I would say Bionic Commando was a little bit better than the Strider game. The Strider game had good controls. Bionic Commando, it doesn't have the best controls, but that's kind of how it was made back in the day, where you don't have a jump and you kind of have to use your grappler. So the controls on that are unique. But back to DuckTales. It's a solid B+. I would recommend the game to anyone who watched the series, and I would also recommend the game to anyone who just wants a challenge. If you turn the difficulty up, this game does get quite difficult, so be ready for a challenge if you take it on. So yeah, the game is good. I recommend it. This is ICC. Peace.